This is Miss Anneliese with Calvert Library, and today I am here to do a bonus bite with you, where we talk about one of the chapter books that's featured on our Book Bites podcast, and then we do an activity that is related to that book. So today I wanted to talk to you about one of my very favorite books that we featured on the podcast, and it's from a series that I think a lot of you might know. It is a very popular series, and there are a whole lot of books in it. Any guesses? Maybe you guessed the I Survived series. So this is I Survived, the Japanese Tsunami of 2011. It's written by Lauren Tarshis and is published by Scholastic. So in this story, a little boy named Ben is our hero, he lives in California with his parents and his brother, and his family goes on a trip to visit his relatives that live in Japan. Ben's family is Japanese. And while they're there visiting his uncle, there is a terrible earthquake. And the earthquake causes a tsunami. And you might know of a tsunami by a different name. You might know of it as a tidal wave. It is a great big wave of water that hits the land and causes a lot of problems for people. There's lots of flooding and lots of damage. So in this story, Ben has to survive the tsunami. He gets washed away from his family and he's all alone, and it is a great adventure. So I recommend this book to anyone who likes adventure stories, or anyone who likes history, or things that read like a biography. This isn't a biography, this is fiction, but if you like memoirs or kind of true to life stories, I would recommend that you give this one a listen and maybe a read. So for our activity today, I thought we could do some Japanese artwork since Ben's family is Japanese and the story takes place in Japan. So what we're gonna do, it is a two-parter. We're going to do some Japanese sumi painting, which is gonna look a little bit like this. Yours is going to be really different from mine, but this is the rough draft of what mine looks like. We're going to do some sumi paintings, and then we're going to turn those paintings into fans, into decorative Japanese fans. So I am going to get all my art supplies ready, and then we will go ahead and get started. Okay, so I have all of my supplies ready, and we'll go over our supply list in just a minute, but first, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about sumi painting and what that is. And it is a Japanese art form. And what it means is black line painting. So traditionally, it's done mostly in black. And line painting, you might guess, it's really important. The lines are very important. And I wanted to show you a couple examples. Here's one. And sumi paintings all often depict nature. You can see this one is mostly in black. You can see some cliffs, some trees. There's a little pop of red in the corner. Yeah, mostly depict nature. Pretty simple brushstrokes are meant to make larger pictures. Here is a good example of one that we'll do today. Just a nice circle. And see how the line changes as the stroke goes. It starts dark and then gets a little lighter. Here's another example, lines. And then you can see how all those simple lines come together to make whatever picture you want. You can see there are some flowers here. So let's make our own. And the first thing we're going to need is some paper. I'm using white paper, but you can of course use whatever color that you have on hand. And I am going to use some black paint, but again, you can use whatever color you have around. So I have my black paint, something to keep my paint in, and I have 2 different size paintbrushes. So I recommend getting as many sizes as you have on hand. Just 1, that's okay. If you have 5, that's great, because you can experiment with how different lines look with different size paintbrushes. So let's see, let's get our ink poured. Should be enough there. Okay, so I am going to angle this down so you can see my picture, what's going to be my picture down here. So let's, like I said, we're going to do lines. So I'm going to start with my big fat paintbrush. I'm going to get it nice and wet in the paint. And I'm just going to practice doing some thick lines across my paper. There, that's how my first one turned out. Let's see, let's try another one from maybe the opposite edge. Let's see what the paint does. Start off pressing hard, get a little lighter. It's interesting to see how the ink changes as it goes. So let's see, I'm going to try doing that circular motion that we saw in one of our earlier pictures. There, just like that. So let's try with a different sized paintbrush. I have my thinner paintbrush here. And let's see if I can make some thinner lines. Ooh, there we go. That one stays nice and dark the whole time. What if I try a couple strokes with just one dip of paint? There we go. And you can try drawing things from nature. Like we said, nature is a big important part of sumi painting. So maybe you want to try drawing some waves. There we go. Or maybe you do little strokes to try to draw branches or flowers off of your main line. And you should experiment. Yours is going to look totally different than mine. But this is kind of a nice rough example of what our sumi paintings might look like. Yeah, and do as many as you want, practice as many as you want. And then when you find a good one, when you find one that you love, it's your favorite one, that's the one I want us to transform into Japanese fans. So let me switch out my materials and then we'll do fans next. Okay, so let's get to the fan portion of our project. And first I want to tell you just a little bit about Japanese fans. They were created a long time ago and they actually originated in Japan. So started off in Japan. And they were always used for a variety of reasons. They were used for performances, sometimes used to deliver messages, just to be beautiful and show off people's status in society, and also to be functional. You know, when it's hot out there, you can use your fan to cool off. So I wanted to show you a couple examples of some traditional Japanese fans using traditional Japanese artwork. Here's one. There's another. See, it's got some wood in that one. And then here are a bunch. You can see that, like nice, beautiful, traditional Japanese artwork. These ones are very colorful. These ones aren't quite like ours. But so let's make our own. The first thing you're going to need is your painting. And you're going to need to let it dry for more than a few minutes. I made mine a while ago, so mine's nice and dry and ready to go. You're going to need some glue or a stapler if you want things to go by a little bit faster. You're going to need some string or some yarn and scissors to cut that string or yarn. So first things first, you're going to take your painting and we're going to fold it. So let me show you how to fold your paper. You want to do it long ways like this way. And you're going to do just a little bit, just about an inch, and fold it over. If you want to get a ruler and be more precise, you absolutely can. Then you're going to flip your painting over and make a crease the very same size, just on the other side. You're going to do that a bunch of times till you get to the end of your paper. You want to make a nice accordion pattern. All right, so almost done with mine. Remember, you want to try to keep it as even as possible. And there you have it. So it should look a little bit like this. All right, so you have your folded up paper. The next thing you're gonna do is make it into a bow tie, kind of like this, and fold it again. You're gonna have to crease that paper nice and tight. There we go. So you can see we've got the fan shape, and that is where your glue comes in. See, we've got these two kind of pieces now, and you have to connect those two pieces. So you can use glue if you want. I'm going to go ahead and use a stapler just to be a little bit quicker. So let me staple my fan together so you can see the right shape. And there we go. All right, so next you're gonna get your string and you're gonna tie this portion at the bottom with your string, and that's going to give you a nice handle for your fan. So get your string out. You can use as much as you need. And you're just gonna wrap it, wrap it, wrap it all the way around. Lots and lots of times. So there we go. That's kind of an example of how to do it. You're gonna get your scissors to cut your string. And this is the trickiest part of the whole project. You are going to tuck that extra piece of string that at the end, you're gonna go ahead and tuck it in using a pencil. I forgot this in our materials list. You're gonna use a pencil, you're gonna tuck it in. This sometimes takes me a little bit of time, but really good motor skills practice. It's gonna look something like that. So I'm gonna take my one out that I made a little earlier for our final demonstration. And there you have it. So you have a nice handle, you can see your painting, and you could decorate both sides. I didn't think about doing that, but you absolutely could. And there we have our projects. I hope that you like line painting. I hope that you like making your fan. You can make as many as you want. It's fun to use different size paper to come up with different size fans. And yes, thank you so much for joining me for this bonus bite. I really hope that you will look into the I Survived story, and I hope that you have fun doing this project. Remember, keep an eye on all our social media channels because we are always posting new and exciting activities just like this one. And until next time, I'll see you later.